I dropped out of a Jesuit university that my dad was paying for to join the Marine Corps during the war. And I I was I was doing my best to run away from me. I was also I I I'd like to say that um, I joined the Marine Corps because I didn't want my dad to pay for my education, but I don't really believe that is as core as I was running away from Jerry Stadtmiller. And I, I, uh, and I really enjoyed boot camp. Okay, I had been on crew, which is, they're long, skinny boats with oars, and I rowed at the University of Santa Clara, and so I was in perfect shape. And the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I had gone back to OCS training for the Marine Corps with the eventual idea of joining the Marine Corps as an officer. And then I dropped out. And when I went through boot camp, I was in better shape than anybody else, and I knew what they were going to teach us. And boot camp was fun for me. I mean, it really wasn't that big a challenge. I I graduated honor man, and then I I was my job in the Marine Corps was I was going to be a rifleman, so I went through infantry training, and it uh, it just it was all a big game to me. And I'll never forget when the plane was landing at Da Nang Air Base. I looked out that window, and all I could see, for as far as I could see, was sandbags, barbed wire, and military aircraft. And I knew I had made the biggest mistake in my life. Well, I spent a week in the rear, and then I got choppered out to join my unit. And when I joined them, they were on a hill overlooking Hill 689, overlooking the Quezon Valley. And it hit me where I was. It didn't make a bit of difference how well I polished my leather, or how well I marched, or whatever. And it was terrifying. It was, I want to say, bone chilling or breathtaking, or it was so starkly real. And I had gone, I don't want to go through the minor encounters, but the day I was shot, that morning, my buddy woke me up about 4 in the morning, Al, and he woke me up with 2 words: "They're coming." And I jumped into our foxhole, and I got my magazines out, I got my E-tool out, and got it to a place where I could wield it as a weapon. And then we were told to wait until we set off illumination flares, and at that point we began firing. And for a half hour I stood in that foxhole listening to NBA soldiers breaking bushes as they were walking up the hill. And for a half hour I had the opportunity to reflect on just what I had gotten myself into. And I realized in a matter of minutes or seconds, I was going to be doing my best to kill complete strangers, and they were going to be doing their best to kill me. We didn't know each other. We didn't dislike each other. We didn't hate each other. And yet we were going to be doing our best to kill each other. And at that point, I began realizing I had no right to kill them. They were in their own country. I was running away from myself. I didn't believe that at that time, but that's in essence what I was doing. And I was there on a self-awareness journey. And now I was going to be put in a situation where I was going to be killing human beings. And I didn't want to. And this might sound corny, but the way I was raised was, if I kill someone, I'm going to hell. And because all I was terrified, I didn't see that that gave me the right to kill someone. And then the illumination flares went up, and I started pulling the trigger, and I didn't want to pull the trigger, but I couldn't stop pulling the trigger. And to the point where my buddy Al said, "Jerry, slow down, you're going to run out of ammo." And as it turned out, there was an NBA soldier, maybe about 8-9 yards in front of us, in sort of like a little scooped out area, sort of like a sand trap on a golf course, and we couldn't get a direct shot at him. And so my buddy Al climbed up on the step that we dug to get into our foxhole, and he got a bead on him, and he pulled his trigger, and his weapon jammed on him, which was very common back then. And he said, "Jerry, give me your rifle." And I froze, and I wouldn't give him my rifle. Now, I was in no danger. I could just stand there and not get hit because we dug the foxhole at eye level. And when Al realized I wasn't going to give him my rifle, he pulled the pin on a hand grenade and let the spoon fly, held it for a few seconds, and then popped it over and blew the man's head all apart. And I knew I was a coward. I mean, pure and simple. And Al and I never talked about it. And after the battle was over, and I mean, it was a battle. It lasted for over 4 hours. One of my buddies, our buddies, Mac, because he and his buddy didn't dig their foxhole that deep, he got shot through the chest, and his body was lying underneath a poncho. And some Marine walked by and said, "Who wants to eat Mac's sea rats or his sea rations?" And my initial reaction was, "You asshole. You don't eat a dead man's food." And then I realized, my God, yeah, that's what you do. We are over here to kill or injure each other, period. Fuck democracy, fuck patriotism, fuck freedom. We're over here to kill each other. And that's the only reason we're over here. And after breakfast, I went down to this NBA that Al had killed, and his brains had gotten splattered all over his AK, and I thought it would be cool to put a sling on my M16, so I got some toilet paper out and wiped the man's brains off his sling and took the sling off his AK and tried to attach it to my M16. And that's the last thing I remember. After that, I was told what happened, and I volunteered to join this detail that we were going to do a sweep down the hill, and apparently this NBA with his AK, he killed the other 4 Marines with me, and having shot me here and here with 2 AK-47 rounds, I should have died, but I didn't. And what I'm saying is this: in my heart, I know I do not deserve to be forgiven for not giving Al my rifle. But I have forgiven myself. And because of that, I believe I'm not walking around with poor me, I'm a piece of shit relationship with myself. And I've had Marines, I've had soldiers, you name it. I've had people say, "Jerry, you never give your rifle to somebody else. That's just not what you do." And I know that's horseshit. Was I scared? You betcha I was. Did that excuse me not giving my rifle to Al? Maybe for some people, but in the 3 weeks that Al and I got to know each other, I came to know and love and trust that man. And to this day, we still keep in touch. And I'm just, and you talk about being ugly. How much uglier could a person be than to be able to go down with toilet paper and just wipe a man's brains off a leather sling? I mean, but I believe I was beginning the trip of shutting myself down emotionally. I regret having been shot and blinded. At the same time, I am so glad I got my ass out of that place. I couldn't have taken. I don't think I could have taken any more. It was ugly, and it was so ugly.